So what happened sophomore year? Because you said, this anxiety hit you for a week period in March freshman year.
Gone, forgotten about.
But the shit hit the fan
Oh
sophomore
my
year.
God.
Oh,
So,
it's terrifying.
flashback. Beginning of sophomore year. Sophomore year is awesome. I loved my sophomore year. Great friends, great experiences, great classes, super fun. It was great. It was same time, March, or was it April? Might have been April. I think
We're
it was.
going to have to track this year.
We will have to try this. Hey, it's coming to that time. Let's.
It is.
Not yet. Anyways, April comes around, and everything's good. Everything's good. And then in my English class, like I just talked about, my teacher had us write a memoir about anything we wanted. And so in sophomore year, I wrote about my experience that I had freshman year.
Okay.
Around the same time. And so by writing that, I basically like mentally dove back into that mindset, not mindset, but like into that time. And I remembered how I felt, and I remembered what it was like. And I remember the hopelessness and the anxiety. Anyways, so I had brought myself back to those emotions. I remembered them. I kind of brought myself back to a time where I was super vulnerable, and I had to go back and be vulnerable in that moment. And then
I can see your eyes tearing up just thinking about it.
not really, not in this moment.
A little bit.
Okay.
Not going to lie. A little
And
bit.
so those thoughts are fresh in my mind. And since I was a sophomore and it was a year later, I wanted to try and like unpack it and think about what it actually meant, why I felt that way. And while I was doing that, like a week rolled around, and the next week in that class, my English teacher, again, showed us a movie. And this movie was about climate change. And it was about how in like 5 years, it's irreversible and we're fucked. And it was like possible solutions and all this stuff. And then it told us what would happen if these solutions didn't happen. And so I come out of the movie and I'm like, what could we do? Like realistically, like as a world, like what can we do?
Okay.
So I started thinking about my town, and then my state, and then my country, and then the world. And then I was like, what if we can't do anything? What, like, can somebody else help us? And then I was like, is there somebody else? And I was thinking about the universe. And then I was thinking about expanding. We become a pebble. We become a grain of sand. We become literally like nothing. Like we become nothing in my mind. And all of a sudden it's like a light switch in my mind where I'm like, holy shit, like nothing matters. Absolutely nothing matters to me. Nothing I do.
Do not get yourself back in that state. Okay. I was just like I don't.
No. So nothing matters. Nothing I do will have an effect. Nothing anybody does will change anything. So why do anything? Why? And so I thought about that, and I kept thinking about that, being like, there has to be an answer. There has to be an answer. Like a week passes and there's no answer. And then all of a sudden, I start to get these nervous anxiety attacks where I'm lightheaded and I can't think, and everything is rushing out of my head, and I'm scared and I'm confused. And it's all because in those moments, I keep telling myself that nothing I do is going to matter. No one I talk to, nothing I do, nothing will ever change anything. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what anybody does.
The world's going to end.
Because the world, not the world's going to end, but just like in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. We do not matter.
Got it. Climate change and the inability.
No, climate change wasn't my thought.
Okay,
it wasn't about the world ending. The movie about climate change sparked like a thing about like me thinking about.
Do I even matter?
The bigger picture.
And
then I realized that I was like, I don't matter. Nobody matters. The world doesn't matter.
Well, let me pick up the story now.
Well, it's not done yet.
Well, because in this instance, you let us know what was going on.
That is what was going on. And it was there was one moment we were eating dinner together.
Yeah.
And I just had to like get up and go to the bathroom. and like look in the mirror and be like, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, you'll get through this. And I was like, I was like, I can't get through this. Like, I can't do this. And in that bathroom, I was like, if this keeps up, like, I am going to kill myself. Like, I will. 'Cause like, that's how scared I was. Like, I couldn't live with this fact, and I couldn't accept the fact that I felt like nothing mattered.
Yeah. It was a terrifying thing to go through with you.
It was so...
Because you had a complete breakdown, and you started explaining that these thoughts had been cascading, and you didn't want to think this, but you didn't know how to stop it. And I'll never forget that, because I was holding you, and you were crying, and you were scared, and I was crying and scared, and it had just come out of nowhere that you had gone from just thinking and thinking and thinking and not telling us to a complete breakdown.
Yeah.
And I asked you, I was like, are you in danger right now? Are you going to hurt yourself? And do you remember what you said?
I said no. I
You
was
said
like,
no.
I'm too scared to do that. Like,
And
I
you-
don't want to.
Yeah, and you also said, no, but I can't live like this, Mom. I can't keep thinking these
Right.
thoughts. And I kept going, what thoughts? And you kept saying, I don't matter. Nothing matters.
I feel like even to this day, like, I still can't truly explain the thoughts that I was having, because it was just like, I can't like wrap my head around them. And so like, I was like dying to like explain it to you. And every time I like told you something, you'd be like, oh, so is it this? And I was like, that's not it. Like, that's not it. And like, I just like couldn't figure out what to say.
You did a really good job of explaining it. You know, when I would have very acute moments of anxiety when I was younger, I would have this thing happen that was equally scary, Oak, where I didn't have the thoughts go first. Nothing matters, nothing matters. I would all of a sudden feel this weird thing happen in my body. Like you called it like a switch that flipped. And all of a sudden, I would have this experience where everything felt fake. Almost like the Truman Show.
Right.
Or that your whole life is a set that's fake.
Right.
And I would repeatedly have this feeling that if the wind blew, all of these walls in this room would just flop down.
Like a TV set.
Like a TV set. And I would find myself in the middle of the desert with no one in sight. And the only person, and is Earth even real? And is this room even real? Like, that's how it was. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
So I understand what that's like. And for those of you wondering what we did, I went into first responder mode. Do you remember?
You wouldn't let me sleep alone.
I know. I slept
You wouldn't
in
let
your
me,
bed
You wouldn't let me
with
be
you.
alone. Oh my God. You took me out of school
Yep.
for a week.
For mental health.
We went back to Massachusetts.
Yep. To see doctors.
I'm trying to think about what else you did.
I wouldn't let you be alone. I wouldn't let you sleep alone. I made you eat. Dad meditated with you.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got you into therapy as fast as possible.
Yeah.
You
Got on medication.
tried some medication that really
Still
helped.
on it. It's the best.
Help you climb out of that hole, man. Like, sometimes you need a ladder.
Yeah, you do.
Sometimes you also need a surfboard. And so they can work both ways when they work.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what led you
To therapy.
to therapy.
What a segue. This is like, oh wait, also I feel
It's a
like
25-minute segue.
I
Go
want to
ahead.
say another thing. Can I talk about the John Mayer song
Sure.
in terms of it? Okay, like jumping back before we go to therapy. At the time, there was this song that I still love today, but I think it also contributed to my anxiety. It's there's this like underground artist. His name's John Mayer. I don't know if any of you know who he is, but I think he's a pretty good artist. And there's one of his songs, it's called Stop This Train. And basically like train symbolizes time and how like time keeps moving, and like John, I don't know if I should call him John, we're not friends, but like John Mayer wants the train or time to stop. And it's just like him being like, stop time, like let me stay where I am, like I want to get off, like I just want to be with what I am right now. And then it ends with him like talking to his dad, and his dad's like, don't stop like time. Like, just like, you just want to hold on and just like keep going for as long as you can and just like appreciate it and be in it. And like, I think, oh my goodness.
It's making you emotional.
Oh my God, it always does. And
why? Why does that make you emotional?
Because like time is just like, oh my God, that's too much. Like, that's too scary. Not scary, but like, that's just so much to think about. Like how like time is just gonna keep going.
Yeah. You know, I always have that feeling when I'm in a museum and, you know, I'll be looking at a painting and I lean forward and it's like something has been painted in the 1800s.
Jeez.
Have you had that experience?
I'm way too bored in a museum to ever pay attention to dates.
Well,
I would love to be like a museum guy, but I can't. Because it's just like fun and like mysterious and it makes you like more interesting. I've actually gotten into museums more than I used to be, but I don't know. My memories of museums were always just like, this is the most boring thing ever, like staring at a wall for 15 minutes.
Meanwhile, your mother is having a small existential crisis as she's looking at paintings because as I lean forward, I'm like, this was painted in the 1800s? That means there is a person standing in front of this canvas 200 and whatever years ago. I can't even do the math on this.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel so small in the timeline of humanity. And it's the same kind of thing that you're talking about.
Yeah. And so like that song just sparked something in me where I was like, time is going to keep going and like it won't like
slow down.
It won't slow down. And like
You
that's
can't
scary.
get off.
And like that added to everything. And
Yeah.
that's the whole John Mayer story. Anyways, John Mayer, if you're listening, please contact me immediately because I love you.
I remember that day
When
because you texted
did I like call
me.
you and
called
I was
me
like, yeah,
sobbing again. You love to cry. You're a good crier because you were so grateful for your life and you were grateful to be up here in Southern Vermont and for our family, and that song played and you were calling me from the high school parking lot crying about how much you love your life. And who knew that just 3 weeks later
it would like boom,
it would
hit the fan.
completely collapse and you would be in probably the worst mental breakdown I've ever seen you.
Yeah.
Really scary as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud of you, though. I'm proud of you for asking for help, for telling us the truth, for seeing a therapist, for taking medication, for turning toward it to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Welcome to
The Mel Robbins podcast.
That is Oakley Robbins.
Hey guys.
I wanted to talk to you because you came into the kitchen tonight and you're like, oh my God, I just had the best therapy session